Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me here on the Blab version of, I guess, what was the LOA Scope. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I would do a Periscope broadcast about law of attraction related content, and decided that what I wanted to do was take one of those days and do a Blab instead, so I could bring on people and we could have conversations and bring you in if appropriate to do Q&A and so on. Let me just tell a little bird, I would invite you all to do the same. It'd be awesome if you did. So I do have a guest today. Now, normally on these Wednesday blabs, I bring in one of my law of attraction coaches, the Boundless Living coaches who have been certified by me, and we talk about a particular topic. But this week, I am bringing in a friend of Lynn and I, Suzanne Gardner, and the topic of conversation, the subject as it stands right now, is master connection with your body and others. If you were on my Periscope on Monday, you heard me talking about the importance really of taking care of yourself, putting yourself first, and so on. But I also talked a little bit about this conversation that we're going to have today, and from a law of attraction point of view, let alone a health point of view, how important it is that you know how to tune into, listen to, and respond to what your body is telling you, and be able to really truly connect with your body, and in doing so, also how to connect with others. And the way that we're doing this is we're talking with Suzanne Gardner. She's created a game called the Connections Cards game, and which helps you do that. And so we're going to bring her on, and we're going to have a conversation around how this game works, and also tell you how you can kind of get a little bit of an experience of it. So hold on, I'm going to unlock this seat. Sue, you can call in, and then we'll bring you in. And here we go. And it's just going to work right out of the gate. Here she is. Let's hear you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Everybody hear Sue okay? And you hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
Thank you.
Hooray. Let's all welcome Sue and give her some props. This is her first blab.
Thank you, Bob.
This is a whole kind of new experience for her. And I haven't actually done this kind of interview type of conversation yet either. I mean, I did something with Nori last week, who I know she'll be in there. I see her right there. And we actually have two of our coaches in here. We have Lily and Nori, two Boundless Living coaches, and here to support. So Sue, this is a very different kind of conversation. And in fact, it took a lot of questions on my part to kind of really get an understanding and a grasp of what this is all about. But when we talked I guess a couple of weeks ago about like getting ready for this, you really were able to clarify for me how the game works and what people can experience. But before we get into that, let's just introduce you a little bit. Why don't you talk a little bit about, who you are, what your background is, and how you came to be in the position to create a game like this?
Great. Well, first of all, I guess I need to say that I have a passion about health at the cellular level. And I've had that for, I don't even know how many years, a long time. And it just happened that, and I have a couple of degrees in nutrition, and I wrote a book about Soul Talk with Cells. And I happened to attend a weekend, well, it's actually a week-long, sort of a seminar to get in touch with, yourself. And I came away from that. It was in Florida, and I came away from that on the plane. I wrote these cards as a follow-up from having attended that event. I really did not, and it's related to cells, I really did not know exactly what I was going to do with them, but it was 5 hours, so I had 5 hours to write these cards. And so when I got back to Salt Lake, some of the people that were at the thing in Florida, we got together and we were going to another event. And someone in the car, as we were traveling along, said, "When are we going to play your game?" Well, I thought, it's like, I've got these cards. And they said, "Yeah, well, you've been talking about them. Let's play." So that's actually incredibly how it started. And then there were 4 of us in the car, and only one couldn't go, but 3 of us played, and it was so amazing, just to realize how different and how similar we are. And it was almost enlightening in the moment, and we all loved it. And it took, there are only 23 cards, and we didn't even get through them all in 3 hours. So, but we needed to stop because that's a lot. 3 hours, that's a lot. So, but we hadn't quite finished all the cards, and these two guys, it was two guys, and they said, well, we haven't seen all the cards. And so then they hurried up and read all the rest of the cards. So it's very intriguing. It's very engaging. It's very in the moment. It's very authentic. It's very about your body. You're relating to the feeling of a situation. Your body responds every time. Your cells respond to a situation every time, and it's like being aware that that's happening. And then that's why the discussion is focused on that. And that, I don't know if that's what brings the authenticity. It took me a long time. All we knew is we loved it. That's what we knew.
Well, let me just interrupt, and let's just back up a bit to give some people some context. What do you tell people is the benefit of playing the game?
First of all, it's fun. And it's hard to say why. And that's what's tough. I just wanted a whole lot of people to discover it, to experience it. And so I just started inviting people to play it. And it took me a long, long time. I mean, a couple of years really of playing it over and over and over, and with over 100 people. And they all liked it. And some of them that are really kind of, bureaucrat kinds, would say, well, I don't really know why I liked it, but I sure did. So it's sort of, what do you call it? Indescribable kind of, it's like you just leave wanting to play again, wanting to know more about it, whatever. So
what we talk about is that this allows us to learn to hear our body in a different way. So you're saying, so there's situations. Describe to the best of your ability. Now, Sue and I have talked a lot about how we would relate the game on a blab, because it's really something that you have to really experience, I think, to know, to really get the full impact of the benefit. But can you describe, so again, I set this whole thing up about the law of attraction and how being able to, connect with your body, and of course others can help you in sort of your manifesting. Now, I know that's not your main conversation, but for me, it's really easy to understand how, our body is a very important part of who we are.
Very
and a
much.
lot of us, the way I talked about this the other day, is that we kind of sometimes we just take it for granted as it's sort of our vessel to move around in and pick things up and just have the physical experience. But in a situation, especially since the law of attraction is really governed by our emotional responses and how we feel and things like that. Now, I know that this is more of a physical thing, but when we're in a situation, our body responds. And a lot of times I think we think more about how we respond emotionally and don't pay attention to what's happening physically.
Exactly.
So can you share the benefits of being able to hear your body and how this game helps you to do that?
It is, for the benefits, it's a huge guideline. I mean, there's other words to describe it, but it's being aware of whether you contract in a situation, you pull away. Some people have said, well, I feel like I'm closing off to that. Or if you relax into it and feel a sense of peace, or even wanting to engage more with it, wanting to know more about it. If you can listen to those in your body, because they are there. And use them as a guideline. Because if you know that you're contracting, you can ask questions to find out more about the situation. You can listen to other people and different viewpoints. You can learn from the people around you before you get, because you can get angry. You can get all worked up about it. But if you just realize you're pulling back, and that's the body telling you that, and you don't need to get into that angry thing, you can actually listen enough. Realize there's another option, and there always are many, and until you can calm down and get the information about the situation enough so that you can actually see other ways of looking at it. And that can happen in the moment, which is a huge help.
And so playing this game then gives you sort of in a game, fun environment, the ability to learn how to listen so that when you're out in the real world, yes, you now know how to notice it.
Exactly.
And then with the feedback that you get, I guess, with playing from others.
Yes.
This is an assumption because I haven't played the game, but with the feedback that you get from others, you have, other input, other ways to look at and evaluate a situation. Am I correct on this?
You are absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. Yeah.
So So if you just walk us through a little bit, like the gameplay, like how does it actually work?
Okay, so what I always do, and there's such a variety of people, and so a lot of people are not familiar actually with any that they can feel in their body. And literally, some people have told me that, and some people it's a little they're so unfamiliar with it that there's a big hesitation before playing the game, and they will watch for a while until they see that it's natural, that it's easy, and there's no winners or losers. It's just the way we are as human beings. Let me give you an example of how people can kind of ease into it.
Great.
And I do this in a group, or even I've done it with just people that want to know more about it. An example would be, I'll just give you two examples to show you how different your body can feel. And that if you really allow, you have to kind of allow your attention to go there. But I'll give you the examples and see. The first one will be, let's say that you've got, I mean, these are all situations on the card, so I'm just going to give you a situation.
Great.
Let's say you've got an airline ticket or whatever, a ticket, or you've got an important meeting, or you have to be there. And I'll just use the airline scenario. And something happened about traffic or whatever, and you get there and you know you're about to miss that plane. You go running down the concourse, and the door is closed and the plane is backing away. So now the question is, how putting yourself in that moment, how does your body feel? Your body, not your everything else, you know, your plan B, all the anger about the traffic, nothing. It's like, how does your body feel in that moment? And if you really put attention on it, you'll feel a contraction.
Oh yeah, I'm just listening to you set this up because that's like my least favorite scenario. Of all the examples you could have picked, you picked the one, right?
Yeah,
exactly. That got me and so I'm feeling it all in here, right?
Yes,
it's like
exactly.
Just from all this whole area just goes, ugh, right?
Right.
So now, what do I do with that, right? What do I learn from that?
You learn from, and even some people have said, well, I just want to hit the wall, or I want to, just get the feeling out of my body. But that's it. You've described it. That's just an example for now. I'm going to move to something else because I can't answer that question just right now.
Okay.
So let me move to another example. And this one will be, you're standing in a shower and the water is the perfect temperature, the one you just love. And those streams of water are coming down and hitting you on the shoulders and running down your body. And you're standing there. And it's just, okay, so that's the feeling. How does that feel?
Mm.
Right. And you're not in a hurry. Some people take a shower in a hurry and get out fast, but this one is, you get to stand there. There's nothing pressing. You can stand there for an hour if you want. But the point is that it does not. It's, that there's a definite feeling of maybe even wanting to stay there for, 5-10 minutes or whatever, because it feels so good.
Yeah.
So that's the opposite feeling. That's the relaxed feeling. That's the, I like this feeling. Let's have more of this. And so now when you put those two together and you know that that you can move, well, hopefully from the uptight one to the more relaxed one, then that's when you have read, and now those were two examples. You will have read a card that presents a situation which could take you actually back and forth from, oh my gosh, that really, I really pulled back on that. And I could read you one of the cards, but it shows you in a situation that you can go back because of something that's happening, or you can go forward because of something else. But the point is that you can really feel that happening in your body. And then if there's other people in the group that are, and by the way, people have different responses, and it's a huge learning situation just about the variety of people there are. Everybody does something different. And some people realize things about them that, they didn't even know, and it's beyond their body. It's like, oh my gosh, my mind is going all these different directions, and I wasn't even focusing. Whatever it is, it's a huge learning opportunity. And I'd say that in terms of moving from the tightness, if that's what you end up with, the other people, there's typically other people in the room that see it very calmly.
Wow.
I go, well, I didn't even see it that way. How'd you see it? I mean, there's no arguing in the room. It's, my gosh, my body is like, so that's a familiar situation. I mean, some people will say that's the kind of work I do. I see that happening every day. And so you learn from somebody that, that's what they do every day. And so
you get the opportunity then, I guess this is just one little benefit of having a different perspective on a situation that, like, for example, me in that scenario of running late and missing a plane, to me, that's like the worst night. I don't see any other possibility other than to tighten up, be upset, and all of that other stuff, right? But you're saying that, and I can't even fathom it, that somebody else would not be affected that way. So you have, do you then, does it like open up for discussion, and then you hear other people's ways of being,
yes,
possible ways of being?
And it's just sharing. It's just sharing. And for instance, in that case, there have been people that have said, well, I already had plan B. I already had plan B. I'll reschedule and I'll get the flight. I'll get there some way. I'll get on the phone and I'll tell the people I'm going to meet that I'm going to be, I'm coming in on this time. And so by the time they get to the gate, they're not quite as worked up.
Yeah.
So they're kind of.
That would be Lynn. Well, it's no big deal. We'll get another one. And I'm like, yeah. So no, right. I'm getting it. I'm really getting it. So, and now to bring this back around to law of attraction for a moment, because wouldn't it be awesome, since we all know that, because when you have that, there is an emotional element to it. Like, it's the anger that I feel, or the frustration, is a definite vibration that isn't going to serve me in any way. Right. So, but in that moment, I'm seeing no possibility. But through playing this game with other people and learning about other possible ways to be in a situation, like, I can't unknow that. So then I have a choice in that situation to remember the conversation I had and the connection I had with somebody else on that. And it gives me the ability to shift that vibration. It's like, you could do EFT, you could do all these different things to change your energy, but this is just another way through playing the game with a lot of different people and having that experience and sharing that connection to say, you know what, I don't have to feel this way. I do have a choice. But when you notice it now, it's that, oh, here's that familiar thing.
Yes.
Here's that familiar feeling, but I know that it's possible to feel a different way. Right.
Yes. And the other thing is that to be able to manage that stress response, that is, the better you get at managing it and coming up with another option, your health, it's very good for your health. Some people get chronically in that stress state when that's not good. But if you can get more and more towards the relaxed state, it's just your health. It's so much better for your health.
Let's talk about that. I just kind of want to reset here for people who have come in late. And I saw Jason Trevelino's here. Jason's one of my regular Periscope followers. Great to have you here. Mm-hmm. We're talking with Suzanne Gardner about her Connections Cards game and how it allows us to really tune into, listen to, respond to our bodies and what it's telling us, because often we just don't even think about that. It's just like, we may notice a tightness, but we don't think too much about it, and certainly not in the terms of like having choices about what to think. And then how, through playing this game, that you connect with others on a sometimes, you said the word, sometimes a profound level. I would imagine that when, you could take a group of people who don't even know each other, right?
And
then when you're sharing, because that's a really personal thing, the way that your body responds. It says a lot about who you are, your upbringing, your belief system, even. I mean, a ton. So I can imagine that the connections that you make with others, and again, from a law of attraction point of view, connecting with others and having real connections with other people and not living life as an island is super important. So that's all great too. So let's bring it around to the health, because on Monday, when I was doing my Periscope about putting yourself first and self-care and getting enough sleep and all, just health in general, obviously the underlying theme was there that if you feel yucky, if you're not healthy, it's really hard to stay in a really good, abundant vibration, a prosperous vibration, really feeling great and attract that stuff. You're really kind of focused on how bad you feel. And and that emotion can really, it doesn't really serve you. So tell us then how, I mean, you just alluded to it. If we can get into a more relaxed state, I guess our body just sort of functions better. You have more of a sort of a medical background than I do. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, that's true. You were kind of getting at it there, is that when you've got you're kind of all wound up, your thinking really isn't as clear. I mean, you're sort of struggling with something. But if you get into a more relaxed state, suddenly, first of all, it's easier to hear other people, and maybe even allow yourself to shift. I think in that tight situation, you get kind of stuck on something more so anyway. And when you're more relaxed, you can hear things better. You're even open to things that, if you've heard them yesterday, you heard them a week ago, or whatever it is, or you read them in a book, oh my gosh, there's another way to look at this, and you can bring on the more relaxed state. And there is so much written about the relaxed state. I mean, it goes on, and they keep finding out more and more about how that serves you in terms of your health. And of course, it serves the clarity of your thinking too. So there's a lot about going in that direction and learning that it's up to you. The choice is yours. So, to learn how to do that.
So your book is Soul Talk with Cells, right? And I would imagine it relates to this conversation and what happens here. I put it up here before, but here's a link to her. Whoops, did I do it? Yeah. A link to her website. You can learn more about Suzanne, learn about her book, and get, you can actually sample, I think, a piece of the Connection Cards game a little bit, right? If they choose to. Yeah. But again, it's really one of those things, like you said, you really, to really experience it, you got to have the group, and sort of, it's an very intimate.
It can be very much.
Probably not something we'd want to do on Blab with a bunch of people, necessarily, unless it was sort of already an intimate group. But checking that out, pardon me. But talk a little bit more about this. So Soul Talk with Cells. What does that actually mean?
Oh boy. Cells, and I don't know how many people are familiar with Deepak Chopra, but he's certainly out there. And he's written a lot of books, and being a medical doctor, he's really about the cells, and everything happens at the cellular level. So that's a really good reference. And I don't know where I got it, but I've always just had a passion about that level of health myself. And so I wrote that book, because I thought the word needed to get out there about my background is my family. I grew up in a medical family, and I guess I kind of all along thought, well, how come we don't talk about things at the cellular level? And I'm eating, carrots and whatever, all the vegetables, and nobody ever talks about why that's important, or So my whole, I have two degrees in nutrition, and I studied all about what's in all the foods. And of course now we've got a whole lot more going on in the food industry. But I guess the thing is that I've always been interested in health at the cellular level. And I wrote the book to get the point across that cells actually have their own language. Of course, it's silent. And Deepak Chopra really puts that across. But in the book, I was trying to show that they do know what they're doing. Cells know what they're doing. And we need to really get more familiar with the fact that if we align with how well aligned they already are, we're doing ourselves a good service. All of us individually and in our body. And that's what brings us health, is that there's a relaxed state allows, and a well-nutriented state allows the cells to do what they're designed to do. And so that gets us health. And so I don't know if that fully answers what you're asking me.
Well, no, I mean, just the basic concept of, again, communicating with your body, just acknowledging that this is here for a reason, and that it has things to tell us, and then that this game, in a fun, relaxed, really intimate way, allows us to you actually are initiating a conversation with your body.
Exactly.
Like in this scenario, because I think it's kind of like in the subconscious, we always hear that the subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's really happening and what you're imagining. So with the playing of these cards, you're creating a scenario that evokes an actual, true, authentic response, as if you were really in the situation, except that you're actually in a safe space with other people, and you've got all this opportunity for feedback from other people to get other perspectives and so on. Like I so see the value in that. Like that whole, your first example was great because if you have a plan B going in, and you don't have to worry, like, be like all no possibility. Like I tend to get in those situations if traffic happens or whatever, like you feel totally out of control. So just the more, I would imagine, the more people you play with, the more diverse types of people, like people who aren't like you necessarily, not necessarily your close group of friends who kind of think similarly, but get in a group of people to completely different outcomes. And then you learn so much and then you connect with them. I just see like so many benefits of going through the experience of playing this game, as opposed not just the relaxation response, but what you'll learn from having that. And it sounds like that's what your experience has been too. You did say to me the other day, and you said, you alluded to it for a little while, that 3 hours was a long time. You said that if it goes about an hour, it's probably time to stop. Why do you say that?
I've played in, particularly in larger groups where, there's just more conversation happening. Every situation that we get in, it makes somebody angry. And
why would that happen? What would spark anger?
Well, it's just everyday situations in life, maybe something to do with the government, maybe something to do with corporations or things like that. And we can get analytical and we can get political and we can get all those arguments. But if the game is focused on paying attention to your body and it stays there, then you can play much longer. That's why the three of us could play so long, and we had our focus on, because every card says, what is your body response to this situation? And if you stay with what is your body response, everything goes fine. Right. And as a matter of fact, it goes so fine that it's hard to describe. But if in the group, when it's larger and somebody gets, well, like for instance, let's say that they identify with the situation. It's something that they're living with, or, and they're struggling with. It can get not so much in the body. It can get, this is more of a problem for me than I realized.
Yeah. So the opinions, the ego, the intellect, all that comes into play. And okay, so I can see where that could spark. Now you were telling me though that there's not really like a leader or a facilitator in this game. Not
in the beginning. There has to be somebody who has read and the rules are there. It's well spelled out how the whole thing works and what you can expect might happen and how not to have that happen and that sort of thing. I actually, one of the things that I did to make sure that I didn't overlook anything is that I worked with a psychologist on it, who, by the way, as soon as he saw the game, he said, "Sue, have you got this copyrighted?" And I said, "I do not." He said, "Okay, we're going to get it copyrighted, and it's going to happen this week." Because he immediately said, "This is one of the best things I've seen." And so it's all spelled out in there, and you can read it once, and then that's probably all you need to read it. But at least you're aware. But it does take somebody that starts the game and knows the rules, and make sure that the people in the room know the rules. But true, once it's going, it takes on a life of its own. And that's why the hour, because the person who started the game, if it starts to get away from the focus on your body, then you need to say, well, you can say, okay, I have a card here, and I know that we're supposed to close the game, and there is a closing card. It's different than the rest of the cards, but it does close the game. And so then you can just close the game at the end. And everybody, it does a very nice job of closing the game, by the way.
Wow, and then that's great.
Yeah. And so then everybody can chit chat if they want after that.
So what do you think, everybody? I mean, let's have some props for Sue. I think this is super, super interesting. Like I said, I promised you the other day that it was different and unique and not something I've ever talked about before, but I'm really seeing, really feeling the benefits. Like I can just see what it would be like. Like this is something that Lynn, I think, would love. Like Lynn and our friends, when we have gatherings and things like this would be, our group would love this. It would just be like completely awesome, so, but I also see the value of bringing somebody in who may not, be like, well, this is kind of do you get those people
different.
Who, like, they just don't?
Oh yes.
Does it take them a while to start feeling their body? Like, how do you get somebody who doesn't know how to, like you said, there's people who say, well, I don't feel it, or maybe they've just never noticed it or put their attention on it or whatever? Do you get people who are just stuck?
In the beginning, but when they realize that they haven't noticed it, it's just a noticing. It's not, I mean, it's attention, you put your attention, well, you can sometimes just say, do you feel you're drawing back? Do you feel you're leaning forward or you're drawing back? And then go, well, I'm definitely drawing back. It's just a familiarity that they can get. And that's the beginning. And typically I've had some people that want to stand and they're not sure if they want to stay. They want to stand and watch, and then they pull out a chair and sit down, and then they play. So it is so new. And that's why I say, this is radical. This is not a game. It's not a card game with, the regular cards.
Yeah.
It's different.
I could see where it would feel really good. Like if you're an observer, like I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with this, but then you see what's happening for the other people and how expansive it must get, especially, in the beginning, before people get in their head about things. And then you'd want to have that experience because it would feel safe and just, I think it always really feels good when we have sort of our own personal aha moments. And like, even just truly just thinking about it right now, the expansiveness that I feel in that place that I was so tight before in your scenario about being late, I can just feel the opening up, just thinking about the possibility of doing this. And again, I always tie this all around to the law of attraction, but what that does for you vibrationally and how that changes the conversation you're having with the universe about what's possible for you, and it going from, oh no, it has to be this way, this is the only possible way I can feel, to having choices and possibility of actually feeling good in situations where you would never think that you could. And that is probably one of the things that chokes off people's ability to manifest and all that the most, is because of their stuck beliefs about how they have to feel in a situation. Like if they're late on their bills or whatever, they feel like they must feel tense and must feel stressed. And it could be that if they play this game, and I don't know if that's a scenario or whatever, but a money related something or other, and then they start getting feedback from other people and they start opening up to new possibilities and ways of thinking, how that would just serve them for the rest of their lives and create a whole new sense of possibility in terms of attraction.
Yes.
So it's really, and it is, I think what I really like about this, not as opposed to, because I'm big fans of release techniques that you do with yourself or just a practitioner or whatever, but this whole idea of doing it with a group, in the context of a game, and it's not like therapy, and it's not, there's kind of a lightness to it because it is a game.
Right.
And that's always a good feeling to have, overlaying any kind of this work that you do. Like, this is going to be fun. This is fun.
It is.
I'm going to enjoy this process and enjoy the exploration, even if every now and then during this game, I'm going to have a tense moment. But the gift of observing that, I always talk about how when resistance comes up in your life, it's really a gift. It's an opportunity for you to see what is stopping you. And this is another layer of that, because emotional resistance, we've kind of learned to notice, because our thoughts go crazy and we start feeling emotionally bad or whatever. But it also can show up in our body. And
Absolutely.
This is an opportunity for us to learn how to tune into that. I just think it's incredibly valuable.
Of course I do too. One thing I want to say is that of all the times that I've played the game, there hasn't been a single game that I haven't learned something new. Every time. And every time I'm glad. Every time I'm glad I learned that. Oh my gosh, I'm glad I learned that. So there's something that goes on. And of course, the different people share different backgrounds and different stories, and all, it's an incredible way to just meet people at it's quite a genuine, it's just authentic. It's a present moment. It's even soulful, like I said before one time.
I think what's great about it is because you're not really asking like deep personal questions that people would be uncomfortable with. You're just saying, how's your body responding?
Exactly.
And that doesn't feel too invasive.
Not at all. That's why it's safe. And that's why at an hour, if it gets off the focus, and that's the time to draw that close card. And because you don't want to, that's what we see in the world, is people arguing.
Yeah.
and this isn't about arguing.
Yeah.
That's
fantastic. I put the URL up there one more time. Soul Talk with Sales. I'm sorry, I'm holding back a cough. I need to be listening to my body. SoulTalkWithSales.com is where you can go learn more about Sue and kind of get a little sampling of what this work is about. And I would love for you to do that and follow her here, follow her, just learn more about it. I'd love, like, now I'm like, I think, do we have a copy of the book here? Did you give us a copy? Because now I'm like uber curious about it. But
okay.
Anyway, but I appreciate you taking the time, and I've gotten a whole new level of understanding on this. And I knew we could do it. I knew we could explain it. We were a little bit, look at
Here's the book.
There's the book. So soultalkwithcells.com.
I don't know how to get it.
Suzanne,
there we go. There we go.
It's been delightful. And I hope that those of you who have joined us, and obviously there's a replay. We would love it if you would share this replay, because this is kind of a subtle conversation. It's not like this brand new technique that's going to skyrocket, whatever. It's just it's a soft conversation about something that is subtle, the feelings in our body. But I mean, as I've been having this conversation, I'm realizing, well, it's subtle, but wow, potent, very potent. And the implications in terms of not, law of attraction, yes, but also your health, as we talked about, just a general sense of well-being and understanding of yourself and others that you could get from this. How that would just overall just increase the quality of your life by playing a simple game that's a lot of fun. I'm really just inviting all of you to check into it, as I will be doing. Now, we got to get a set of those cards, Suzanne, because I'm telling you, Lynn and our friends will freaking love it.
Okay, great. Yeah. Great. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you, Sue. So I'm going to let you go, and I hope that everybody follows you. I'm going to say a quick goodbye to everybody, but thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. I really appreciate it.
All right. Great. We'll talk soon. Okay. So guys, that was, I really we had this, I'm just being transparent. We've known Suzanne for a while. And I always had this problem grasping the cards, and she was telling me it's just one of those things you have to experience to get. But I was determined before we did this blab that I was going to have a deeper understanding, that we would figure out a way to communicate the power of this game, even though we couldn't actually play it effectively in this situation. Although I could see if everybody if we had a group where we could play this game, I could see where we could figure out a way to do it. Like get 4 people in a room and they're playing the cards. I think we could do it. I don't know. What do you think? I think it could be done, because it's kind of like sitting in a room together if we all had the cards. Anyway, I just think I'm very intrigued, and I hope that you are too. So thank you for being here. And if you'll share it, that's awesome. I am going to post a replay probably on Facebook and so on. And so if you get the opportunity to share this with people who may be dealing with health issues, or, people maybe who, get angst about certain things, could benefit basically from something like this, from being able to learn how to connect with their body, learn how to hear other ways of being from people who don't necessarily think the same way you do, look through life through a different lens. I just think there's a tremendous amount of potential value to be had here. So soultalkwithcells.com. Thank you so much for being here. I am so sorry for the cough. I know it's really annoying to me. It must be really especially annoying right in a microphone like this. Anyway, thanks. I love Blab so much, and I love you being here. And thanks for following. If you're not following, please do. Tell a little bird. Do whatever you want to do. Have an awesome day. Check out Soul Talk with Cells. Best way to contact me, well, Facebook is a super easy way. My personal email, which I'm happy to share, is bobdoyle@me.com, bobdoyle@me.com. But again, Facebook, just do Bob Doyle. I've got so many freaking pages, but you can contact me through there. You can DM me on Twitter at Bob Doyle Secret. Just a plethora of ways. So thanks again for joining, everybody. I'm going to end this broadcast at this time. And we will see you on Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific on my LOA scope, which is, again, at Bob Doyle Secret. At Bob Doyle Secret. Go follow me there. And again, oh, no, that was on my Periscope. Sorry, if I talked about this now, you had no idea what I'm talking about. So have a wonderful day, evening, night, morning, whatever it is. And we will talk again